Beneath the curated surface of our daily lives, in the quiet spaces between the laughter we post and the smiles we wear like armor, there exists a parallel universe of pain that is never spoken of, a deafening silence that screams in the hearts of millions, a chorus of anguish so profound it defines our age of connection yet remains the last great taboo of human experience. This is the silent cry. It is not a whimper or a plea for attention, but a tectonic shift of the soul, a seismic tremor of unmet need and unutterable sorrow that occurs entirely behind the eyes, shattering a person from the inside out without making a single sound that the outside world is trained to hear. It's the high-achieving executive who closes their office door after delivering a flawless, commanding presentation, their body slumping against the wood as the mask of competence falls away, revealing a face etched with an exhaustion that sleep cannot cure, their entire being trembling from the Herculean effort it took to simply appear human for the last hour, to perform the mundane miracle of breathing in and out while feeling nothing but a hollow, howling void within. It's the vibrant, popular teenager who sits in a room full of friends, their laughter a perfect, practiced instrument, while inside they scroll through an endless feed of curated perfection on their own mind, feeling a loneliness so cavernous it threatens to swallow the very light from the room, their finger hovering over a text message they will never send, a message that reads, "I'm not okay, can you help me?" Because the weight of giving voice to their invisible pain, of making it real and therefore subject to judgment or dismissal, feels infinitely heavier than the familiar burden of carrying it alone in silence. It is the new parent, surrounded by the overwhelming, incredible gift of a newborn, yet feeling adrift in a private ocean of hopelessness and shame, terrified to voice the despair that claws at them because it so violently contradicts the universal narrative of radiant joy they are supposed to embody, so they instead learn the rhythm of crying silently into a pillow so as not to wake the baby, their tears a secret baptism into a club of suffering they never wanted to join. This silent cry is the defining paradox of our modern existence. We have built towers of glass and light that connect us in an instant across continents, yet millions stand in those very towers, looking out at a sea of lights, and feel an isolation so complete it defies all logic, drowning in plain sight because they have been taught, both subtly and overtly, that their value is contingent upon their ability to appear unscathed, to be the rock for others while slowly eroding from within. It's the unique anguish of what psychology calls smiling depression, where high functionality and social engagement become the very bars of the cage, making the internal pain impossible for others to see and, therefore, in the sufferer's deepest fear, impossible to believe, invalidating their own experience until they become a stranger to themselves, an imposter in their own life. It is the profound, often terrifying loneliness of a spiritual awakening, where the soul's imperative call to evolve forces a painful, necessary separation from old identities, comfortable relationships, and outworn beliefs, a divine loneliness that feels less like holy preparation and more like a cruel abandonment by the very universe itself, a cry into a cosmic void that seems to answer only with more silence. It is the exhausted caregiver who gives every ounce of their compassion to another, yet feels guilty for possessing nothing left for their own empty cup, their cry stifled by the nobility of their own duty. It is the soldier who returns home, their body intact but their spirit fragmented by memories that language cannot capture, leaving them stranded between a world they can no longer inhabit and a home that feels unfamiliar, their battles now waged in the terrifying quiet of the night. It is the artist who bleeds onto the canvas or the page, giving voice to universal truths through their work yet remaining utterly mute about the personal hell that fuels it, convinced their pain is the price of their genius and therefore not something to be healed but endured. But within this universal, yet intensely private, symphony of suffering lies a secret, not just a story of pain, but the very seeds of our most profound human connection, the hidden architecture of empathy, and the raw material for unimaginable strength. For to acknowledge the existence of the silent cry, both in ourselves and in others, is to perform a radical act of rebellion against the tyranny of perfection. It is to understand that the strongest people walking among us are not those who show no weakness, but those who acknowledge the terrifying darkness every single day and still choose to show up, to breathe, to put one foot in front of the other on a path they cannot see, to find a reason, however small, to continue. They are the alchemists of the soul, who take the leaden weight of their unseen suffering and, through sheer force of will and vulnerability, slowly, painstakingly transform it into the gold of compassion, resilience, and deep, authentic connection. They learn that a scar is not just evidence of a wound, it is proof of healing, a testament to the fact that they engaged in a great battle for their own life and survived. This video is that acknowledgement. It is a hand held out in the darkness, a mirror held up to the pain we all hide, a solemn promise that you are not crazy, you are not broken beyond repair, and you are most certainly not alone in your silence. Your silent cry, the one you thought was your deepest shame, is actually your most powerful point of connection to every other human being who has ever felt the same. And in the simple, courageous act of sharing that truth, of allowing just one other person to hear the echo of your pain, that silent cry becomes the first and most powerful step toward not just being broken, but becoming beautifully, powerfully, and unbreakably whole.